Hello, hello, hello. Hello, everybody in Facebook world. Hi, this is Lanora, and today on the office hours with Lanora, if my shirt don't kind of give it away already, we will talk about some tips for choosing a right sponsoring broker for you. As you all know, Office Hours with Lenora serves 3 points for someone who may be new and just wanting to learn about the options for licensure, for someone who might already have started the process and are clearly going and moving towards testing for their license, as well as even our seasoned individuals that are now real estate professionals. The series Office Hours with Lenora was created so that I could share some information about licensure, how to get into this real estate business, as well as stay in the business. So I hope that you've been enjoying my Facebook Lives and YouTube, to my YouTube subscribers. I hope you've been enjoying the series. So today, we're going to, like I mentioned, talk about the tips. So I wore my referee coach. No, I don't work for the shoe stores. I did wear the shirt today to kind of, mesh everything together. The tips for choosing the right sponsoring broker. How about we start with what is a sponsoring broker? For those of you that don't know, and I'll read the textbook definition. A sponsoring broker is someone who employs, but not, remember the last Office Hours with Lenore, we talked about being an independent contractor versus an employee. So the word employee is used a slightly different. The sponsoring broker is usually that managing broker of the office or the company itself, the real estate office itself. And the student or new licensee would work with the sponsoring broker over the course of their first 2 years to help them acclimate themselves to the real estate industry. The responsibilities of the sponsoring broker is just to do that, to guide said new licensee through that process over the course of the first 2 years. They're also going to be, they provide the business itself. They're going to provide the marketing, and there's also going to be some like brand benefits depending on what type of company that sponsoring broker is responsible for. So some of the other responsibilities and what you should expect from your sponsoring broker, they're going to have years of experience probably in this area. They're also going to have what I like to call a plethora of education under their belt. So they've already gone through the licensure process, as maybe some have even started as a leasing agent and then moved into a broker role. And now as a managing broker, they're able to manage other leasing agents and licensed real estate brokers, residential leasing agents, you guys. So they're also going to be knowledgeable and experienced in the field of real estate. And they're going to have different experience and knowledge of real estate laws and practices. So common day-to-day things that might come up. And I'll give you an example. So let's say that you and I worked at the same real estate office. And for whatever reason, we worked with the same buyer in this scenario. But the buyer chose to write the contract with me. Now, I'm going to tell you, this is just in general that I'm speaking of, but there probably should have been some other documentation in place, like an exclusive agreement between you and the buyer, or one of the two brokers should have had some sort of exclusive agreement with that buyer so that all of the honor is paid to the broker that's putting in the work. And there shouldn't be a competition amongst any brokers or leasing agents in the office. So back to the scenario. So let's say that you and I have worked with one specific buyer, and now the buyer chose to write, that we found a property and the buyer chose to write a contract with me to represent them as their broker of choice. Well, that could be a problem in any said office. So what would happen typically? The managing broker of that office, aka the sponsoring broker, would then be the mediator between those two scenario and those two brokers. The managing broker is going to find out like the proof on who this actual buyer should be designated or assigned to. So they'll get in and they'll kind of break up the infighting that could possibly happen in an office because you might end up working with a similar buyer, or they're going to make sure that policies and various things are in place in that office. They're going to make sure that you have access to the tools that you'll need to be able to do your work as a real estate professional. Okay. Some of the benefits of choosing a specific managing style with a sponsoring broker, you might seek, or as a new licensee, you might seek a managing broker / sponsoring broker that offers mentorship opportunities. You want to, right out of the class and right out of earning your license for the first time, you don't know what you don't know. So you should have someone to kind of help shape and mold your new clay and help groom you over the course of those 2 years that the state requires you to be sponsored, to help groom you grow a new business called real estate. Okay. They're also going to provide the name and the brand recognition. So there may be some bigger or larger scope type real estate companies. I won't say any names. We've all heard of them, so you just kind of fill in the blanks. Those larger companies will have the commercials that you see on the TV, the brand recognition. You'll know their names just like that. And part of what that sponsoring broker, managing brokers will do is to provide sometimes even handouts, paperwork, marketing materials, business cards, a stapler. You want to make sure that you're choosing everything that you need to be successful when working with your sponsoring broker and establishing that relationship. So let's move a little closer now that we know what a sponsoring broker is. Let's talk more about how to choose a real estate office to partner with. So remember, the sponsoring broker is a general term that we're going to use in real estate. It really means the office itself. And then there's a designated person, also known as the managing broker in that office, which will serve as your point of contact. As you're looking for these new locations to start your real estate career in, to partner with, make sure that you understand what type of company you want to partner with. There are 3 different types of companies in terms of size that I want you to consider. The first one is the national franchise. So those larger companies, those larger real estate offices that I mentioned, not mentioning any names, but those bigger companies. There's also the boutique brokerage. The boutique brokerage would be more smaller on the scale, but at the same time, they can still service the communities that they are operating in and outside of those communities. They might just not have the large brand recognition as some of the larger national franchises. Then there's also a third one, which is pretty common right now. I know some 20 years ago when I started in the business, wasn't as common, but more so now. It's the virtual brokerage. So that's going to be a real estate office that you're pretty much, as the licensee, probably working from home a lot more. You're working in that virtual setting where you can upload and scan and maybe even fax documents to and from your company. And you're going to be working more remote versus going into a physical office. So in consideration of these different types of offices, let's look at some of the benefits and the drawbacks so that you know as you're choosing what to look forward to. Some of the benefits amongst all of them is they're going to be, again, that umbrella of protection for you as the licensee. Because you may be new and still within that 2-year window, you can't really branch off and do anything for yourself with your real estate license. So you do, because of the state, the Illinois Department of Financial and Professional Regulations requires you to be sponsored the first 2 years that you have an active license. So no matter what, you will not be venturing out, opening up your own real estate office, managing others. You're going to be, quote unquote, watched and to ensure that you're doing things correctly. This is probably the prime time for you to take full advantage of working with an expert, an experienced individual, or a group of experienced individual in this type of setting, because the goal is for you to get up and running as quickly as possible. And if you can have someone who's your coach in the background helping you, propel you to moving through your first 2 years successfully, you might even consider one day coming back to the Realtors Real Estate School, of course, taking that managing broker course, and then now doing the same thing as a sponsoring broker. Okay? So again, benefits, brand recognition for definitely the national franchise. They'll have that. Some of the other benefits that they'll have, you know, remember I made the joke about the stapler? It's that real. I remember when I started out in the industry, I was given a desk, a phone, and a good luck. Okay? But I also started with a larger national franchise, which offered marketing materials galore. I knew starting out, I didn't have a whole lot of money to invest in business cards, a name tag, calendars, or promotional marketing materials for me. So I chose a company that would help offset some of those expenditures in the beginning. And it worked for me. And I also, at the time, chose more so the sponsoring broker because of his availability. I remember I worked in an office part-time starting out, and then it quickly evolved into full-time. But I worked in a real estate office where there were, at that time, 180 agents. So agents, you all know, is equivalent to broker now. But that's a lot of people to be in one office. Now, again, we weren't all there at the same time, but we were there. And this one managing broker, his name was Jim. I've talked about him before. He was amazing. He was heaven sent, because when I tell you Jim poured into each and every one of us, he seemed to have an unlimited amount of availability. I can recall Jim actually going out with me on some of my first appointments, or partnering me with a top producer at the time who was able to kind of shadow or allow me to shadow, and I was able to kind of have them tag along with me to ensure that I was doing things correctly and that I wasn't making mistakes as a new individual. There were other times where Jim would provide leads, because the office itself sometimes will have a pool of leads. And we had things called floor time, which means that there was a designated hour that each person who wanted it, you weren't required to be there to do it, but each person who wanted the floor time to help increase their lead pool, to help increase the number of buyers or sellers. So anyone that would have been calling that office during my hour of floor time, automatically they became a customer of mine until they became a client, and we actually did real estate work specifically. So some of the drawbacks that you should consider or take into consideration would be in the virtual brokerage, for example. You don't really have an office for your clients or customers to come to. remember, is virtual. So if you are one that might need to be in front of your client, you might be meeting them at the Starbucks, or maybe at their home, or maybe another type of meeting place other than that actual real estate office. With the boutique brokerage, there might be some additional costs that you would incur because they don't have the name recognition of a national franchise, but they may have all of the other services where a benefit is that sponsoring broker is more accessible. So you got to kind of weigh the pros and the cons with all of it and do what's best for you. Some questions that I want you to take with you, because how you find the sponsoring brokers, just like anywhere else, you're going to be driving down the street, or somebody's going to refer you, or you're going to, if you're a student at our school, you'll choose to what we call opt in. That means that you are allowing the school to share contact information about you. Just contact information, not test scores or anything like that. Contact information about you with the sponsoring brokers on the association side. So the school, Realtors Real Estate School, students can say, hey, I want to opt in and have my contact information shared with the Chicago Association of Realtors sponsoring brokers that have availability or open positions in their company. And we'll do that. We don't link anyone specifically together, but we will share contact information with the sponsoring brokers who ask for it. And that's another window. They'll contact you directly to let you know about the opportunities within their office. But I like to tell people, look in your local area. Determine if there's an office that seems to be busy and look like it is a good position or place for your new clients and customers to come to. That's something that I looked for when choosing a sponsoring broker. I knew that I wanted a physical office space for my customer client base to come to. I wanted to have it busy enough where, because we got to keep safety in mind as independent contractors and real estate professionals, somebody always knew where I was. I also wanted to have a parking lot available for my customers and clients. I didn't want them to have to pay for parking and things like that because they were coming to see me. I also wanted to have marketing, like I said, materials available to me where I didn't have to incur any additional out-of-pocket expenses for those. When you're interviewing with these companies, let's take a look at some of the questions you probably want to consider. The first one that right off the top of my head, my newly shaved head, is ask that sponsoring broker or the managing broker you should probably be interviewing with. You're going to call them and you're first going to set an appointment. You're going to call the real estate office. You're first going to set an appointment to meet or to speak with the managing broker of the office. And then part of the appointment that you're setting is quote unquote an interview. This is a little different from the traditional interview you might be used to. The traditional interview is you as the potential employee and the employer interviewing you. The roles have reversed in real estate. So now you are interviewing the sponsoring broker, managing broker about their office to make sure that it's a right fit for you. So the first thing, one of the first questions I suggest that you ask that managing broker, what's your plan of action or success or your vision of success for me over the course of 30, 60, 90 days? What does this partnership between you, I, and the company look like? Automatically, I think about the Chicago Bulls, root for the home team. I think about Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and the coach, Coach Phil. I think about the triangle offense. I think about how that's important. When you think of your real estate career, you have the sponsoring broker, managing broker, you as the newly licensed real estate professional, and this new company. Just like that triangle of fence with the bulls, all of that for you has to work together in order for you to be successful. The National Association of Realtors put a statistic out many years ago that said roughly, it's estimated, about 80% of the people that earn a real estate license are usually in the business and then back out of the business within 18 months to 2 years. Don't let that be you. That should not be you. This is why it's so crucial and so important for you to choose the right combination, the right partnership, the right fit with your sponsoring broker. Okay? Another question that you want to ask, because I'm often asked on the school side when people are questioning if real estate is something that they can do. Maybe they have a full-time job and they want to know if they can do it part-time. Ask that question of the sponsoring broker. What's the expectation of the minimum productivity for me? Do I have to do this in your office full-time? Or is it okay that I have a traditional 9-to-5 and I want to work part-time? Make sure that they understand what your life looks like outside of real estate, because we're adding this new career, this new option that you're putting on the table for you. We're adding all of this into your life. So we don't want it to overtake and overwhelm your life, okay? We got to the sales. Let's talk about sales productivity. So I also know a few people that get into real estate because they are future investors, future landlords of some sort. And they want to know the ins and out of the industries, the laws, the rules, the regulations. But they also don't really want to work full-time or maybe not even part-time as a real estate professional. They want to kind of do it for themselves and occasionally others. Ask that sponsoring broker, is that doable in their office? That there may be a minimum sales productivity rate that you need to keep. You have to produce. So the expectation is that you're producing enough to meet that minimum expectation set for that office, okay? Another one would be find out how many, the combination of other brokers, other residential leasing agents are in that office. You want to know that, because if you're going to be one of those new licensees that require a bit more attention, like me working in an office in the beginning with 180 other agents, that larger company might not work for you, might not be a good fit for you. You might want to look more at a boutique brokerage, which could afford to spend a little more time for you. Here's another thing I want you to take into consideration when choosing a sponsoring broker. Don't expect the office or the sponsoring broker to do everything for you. Some people are looking because they think that they're paying this said office or person to go through every contract, every listing agreement, every marketing scenario, and do everything verbatim for you. Come on, you're an independent contractor, so you're going to be expected to do a lot of this on your own, with them helping you, coaching you, moving you along that 2-year window, okay? So I often hear about, hey, how much can I make in real estate? That's not a question I can answer. You're probably going to be interviewing for sure with the person that can answer that question. So definitely ask about expectations when it comes to what that first year could look like for you as a newly licensed and real estate professional. You also want to know about the fees, the commission structure. How do you get paid? Am I paid 24 hours after the closing? Am I paid 1 month after the closing? Am I paid a percentage Is it a set amount? Is there a fee structure where, like in a virtual brokerage, there is a set amount that's withdrawn from every commission check, and then the surplus goes to you? You have to determine how you want that to work for you, because some of us coming into the real estate industry are leaving careers in the past and starting a new career in real estate. And you want to know how you're going to be paid once you do your work, because you don't want your bills to be late. You want to be able to pay those things too. Let's take a quick look at some additional questions. Y'all know my research that I do. How about, I have one. Expectations in terms of meetings, office meetings, because you should be meeting in the office as a group with your managing broker, sponsoring broker, so that they can convey upcoming maybe education that's required, renewal periods, error and omission insurance due dates, making sure that you're paying or that you're a part of the MLS and you've paid those fees as well, or even sharing information about what you can expect from your license. Sales training, huge if you're new in real estate. We don't teach you sales training at the school level. We're teaching you the laws, how to understand the contract, the math of real estate. This is where you're going to get that additional education through your office. So understanding if you have additional education from orientation, through learning how to successfully close a real estate transaction, to increasing your business over time and what the expectation of that office may be. Okay. You might even want to know if you get keys to the front door of the office, because what if you're working off hours of when the actual office is open and you're meeting with your clients? You can usually take them back to your real estate office and finish up whatever talking or whatever contract needs to be written, and getting all of that done at the office. Okay. Profit sharing and residual income. That's another thing that's kind of new to the real estate industry. Well, not new, but more prevalent now than back when I started. Find out if there are profit sharing or residual income options available to you as a new licensee at this office. You might want to even find out about medical, dental, healthcare options, because if you're leaving one company and you're no longer covered by that company for your healthcare, that's going to be another good question that you ask. Okay. So let's wrap it on up, because I hope that I was able to share a lot of good information with you about choosing the right sponsoring broker. Remember, most people get into this industry, new licensees, and then within 18 months to 2 years, they're out of the business. That's not what I hope for you. I hope longevity for you in this industry. I pray that you get that right fit, that right mixture of people, top producers, as well as your managing broker and sponsoring broker that can pour into you like they poured into me. And then you can also have a 5-year, 10-year, 20+ year career in real estate as well. Some upcoming information that I want you to know about classes or webinars in this case, because we are still operating under the stay-at-home mandate. So at the school level, we are only offering webinar classes, which are like a virtual course done via your computer with a live instructor, or you have the option of working exclusively online at your own pace independently. So some upcoming dates will include next week. At the Realtors Real Estate School, we'll be starting our evening sessions, which are held on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays from 5:30 till 9:15 over the course of 6 weeks. You can get your required 75-hour broker pre-licensing course done via that webinar, Or you can join us on July 13th. And we're going to be offering a 2-week accelerated course, which is Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. And the webinars are again discounted. So take a look at the Realtors Real Estate School website, or feel free to contact me. You know, I'll get you all of the information as well as your questions answered. So I hope you're enjoying some of this good weather that we're having. Be safe this weekend as you all are celebrating our Independence Day. And I look forward to seeing you on the 15th for the next office hours with Lanora. Thanks for joining. Bye-bye.